And welcome back to the Tier1 Podcast. I am your host, Brent Tucker, owner of FRCC, home of the nation's best bourbon, voted by my friends and family over the holidays. Also, the days of subpar coffee are over. Go to frcc.shop and get 100% Brazilian Arabica bean coffee, low acidity. You'll thank me for it. And guess what, guys? Breaking news, cigars are back. Some people say we brought them back. I think that's a lot to put on our shoulders, but we definitely helped it. So go to frcc.shop and use promo code FRCC15 to get 15% off world's best coffee, cigars, and bourbon.
And I'm Drew Tucker, serving you the best I can at FRCC. And consider joining our Patreon here. Not only do you get behind the scenes content, exclusive content, there's a fitness forum, there's direct messaging, there's a gun forum, and the gun forum is now brought to you by Cobalt Kinetics. And in that gun forum, there is a gun expert ready to answer all your gun-related questions from Cobalt Kinetics.
And of course, this episode is brought to you by Human Performance TRT. Go to HP-TRT and use promo code Tier1 for all of your testosterone and peptide needs. It is the beginning of the year. Don't do another year where you say you're going to get in the best shape of your life, and then you don't because you're not getting the results that you want. You're not getting the results that you want because you don't have what it takes to get the results. If you have low testosterone, you're never going to meet those goals. So do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, go to hp-trt.com and get back in the best shape of your life. Make 2026 the best year for you physically. Let's do it.
For the Special Forces Regiment.
Welcome to the Tier1 Podcast.
This is amazing, dude. Check this out, right?
Here we go. The guest seat is empty. That can only mean one thing, Drew. Another history episode. We just did the George Washington one. I loved it. I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about this one as well. We are going back to guests. Don't worry. We're just taking a little bit of giving the guests a little bit of a break over the holidays. So 2 back-to-back history episodes, and I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I do. This one, as you know from the title, is about January 6th, the infamous insurrection, if you will.
Nancy Pelosi calls it the darkest day ever.
I think 9/11 would have something to say about that. I think Pearl Harbor would have something to say about that.
Yeah.
And after you learn more about this, maybe you'll have something to say about that. So January 6th, it is the 5-year anniversary. This episode will drop January 5th. So I thought it was really appropriate to dig into it. And plus, we get the benefit of it being 5 years later and seeing what more has come out. Because, of course, most media sources they just covered all the bad stuff right off the bat. And you haven't heard much about it other than what was brought to you first. So has there been anything more come to light? Let's figure that out. January 6th, as I call it, the insurrection that never was.
It's a good. I like that title.
Now, don't get me wrong. This is, if you think you're here just for me to defend January 6th, you came to the wrong place. And if you think I'm here to bash him, you came to the wrong place. I'm here just to tell you what happened and dig a little deeper. And then you can come to your own conclusions. But of course, I will have my opinion. I'll give it at the end. So January 6th, 2021, a day of shame for some, Some were outraged by the news of it. Some were even proud of it. Some just shrugged their shoulders at it. How could any one event get so many different reactions, so many eyewitnesses, and get so many different versions of a story? What really happened that day? And now that we know so much more 5 years later, let's dig in, Drew. First, let's start off with what an insurrection is. This is what probably irritates me the most. Just the words insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. It just gets bombarded by the left. They're the only ones that called it an insurrection. And it's just another one of those kind of makes you want to like, we can't even get the right terminology between the two sides of this day. No, it should be called a riot. It absolutely was a riot. Yeah. But I can tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't an insurrection. It's just, that's not up for debate.
Apparently that's the story somebody wanted to tell.
That is not up for debate. And by the end of this, I will make my case for it. Again, not this. You won't see me defending this. Should have never happened. But what exactly was it? Well, it's not an insurrection. Insurrection is a violent uprising against an authority or government. Well, unfortunately, the only violence done that day was on the part of the Capitol Police. But then again, the BLM riots just before this were peaceful protests, so the media as we know it cannot be trusted. So let's see what really happened on that day. Leading up to January 6th, most people don't even know that there were 2 pipe bombs placed, one around the RNC and one around the DNC. That story completely just went away. Drew, do you even remember? Do you remember?
I didn't know that at all.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that until you brought it up.
So the pipe bomber, this is something that is going to be beneficial because it's 5 years later. So we have some more information. But of course, we knew that this happened. They were found on January 6th. We absolutely knew it happened. The news did cover it, but you think this would also get a lot of coverage. They were real bombs. They absolutely would have went off. Again, one was at the RNC headquarters building and one was at the DNC headquarters building. Both were just blocks away from the Capitol building. Now, you would think this would be a huge focus of the last administration. We have a guy in our Capitol planting bombs. Although that same administration was able to make 1,500 arrests following January 6th, this guy just got arrested, but for 5 years, this guy eluded authorities.
Wow.
But they could make 1,500 arrests for people who walked into our Capitol building without going through the metal detectors first. But you think this guy must have been a pro since he had eluded the nation for so long. And after carefully planning and executing this operation, he could be anywhere in the world. So a lot of people thought that they were diversionary tactics for January 6th. And I don't mind that anyone thinks that, or like you have to try to, you can't rule anything out. But for 4 years, this man eluded the Biden administration. And this is news because if you guys have been following the news, is he was finally caught. The Trump administration in 10 months found the pipe bomber that the Biden administration couldn't in 4 years.
Well, they found him in 10 months after he's been on the run for 4 years. That'd be tough.
Well, let's talk about him on the run. He was just 20 miles away the whole time. Brian Cole Jr. Bring him up, Drew. Now, it's worth noting that during his interview with the FBI, he did say that he thought the 2020 election was stolen. So more will have to come out about his political views and what his real motivation was and what he intended to do with those 2 bombs. But he didn't like either side because he planted bombs on both sides. Of course, the left did try early on to tie these two together, like I said, with the Capitol riots. But the Capitol riot and the pipe bombs have not yet ever had a connection. one thing that just I can't help but think it's definitely hard to find someone, one, when you don't make it a priority. So Director Patel clearly just said, hey, they made it a priority. That's one of the reasons why they said they caught him.
Step one,
make it a priority. And step two, a little bit more of opinion based, but it's almost impossible to find a man when you want him so bad to be an ultra right wing white male terrorist. And so if that's the only place you're looking for him, you may not find a man like Brian Cole Jr. just 20 miles away, who again was caught. You have no idea how many cameras are in Washington, D.C. I believe it has the most amount of cameras per square mile than any other city. They had plenty to go off of for this guy. He had his cell phone on him the whole time. He paid for all of his supplies, all of his bomb making materials. He paid for them with credit cards. The guy was not a pro by any means, and could not be caught until now. And again, that's actually the absolutely without a doubt. There's one person both sides should be able to look at and say, hey, there's one guy we can have difference of opinions, but we can all agree this guy's a terrorist.
Right.
The guy that planted active bombs at both parties' headquarters.
Easy test answer.
And they didn't even care. They didn't even care enough, but they went and rounded up 1,500 people in and around the Capitol. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So yes, it is not a far stretch to say that it's political. But there's an update that we have now that we didn't have before. I told you I had to give you some updates, some new answers. We finally found the guy that is the actual terrorist. January 5th or 6th. It was, again, he planted it on the 5th. They were found on the 6th. So that brings us to the morning of January 6th. We've been told over and over that President Trump incited that riot. He incited an insurrection. He must have said something pretty terrible to make 2,000 people run from his speech over to the Capitol to make them want to do this. I mean, the House of Representatives impeached the man over this.
Yeah.
So he must have said something pretty bad. So here in a little bit, we're going to take a look at what he said during his 70-minute speech. But I'll tell you, he did question some things. What some of the things he did is he questioned the validity of the election. Yes, he did that. And again, it's 5 years later. We have some more information. He was right to question it.
Yeah, that was a reasonable question.
Obama in 2008 gets 69 million votes. Just a good little walk through history real quick. Obama, he was wildly popular.
Very.
In 2008, the man gets 69 million votes.
Mr. Smooth.
In 2012, he gets 65 million votes. I guess after being president for 4 years, 4 million people it wasn't as good as I thought he was. But he got fewer votes, but still got 65 million votes and won. Let's go to 2016. Donald Trump wins with 62 million votes, and that's what gets him the presidency. Now take that up to 2020. Biden wins with 81 million votes. The guy ran a campaign from a basement. And that's no lie.
It's true.
He almost fell asleep during the debates.
Yeah.
And he gets 81 million votes. Just make that. We can stop right there. Yes, I have questions.
Yeah.
I would like to look into this. Joe Biden.
Sleepy Joe.
81 million votes. It still blows my mind.
Yeah.
One of the many things Trump points out during the election was he believes was election fraud. And early on, he had pointed to Georgia for election fraud. He loses Fulton County by 11,000 votes. Razor thin. And what do we find out recently? That after Trump being the president and getting to do something about it now, he forces an investigation and come to find out 315,000 votes in Fulton County alone were unsigned votes, making them illegal and void. seems like President Trump
might have been onto something.
May have been on something. May have been onto something. So they had the right to be riled up. I mean, what's worse than stealing a presidential election? I mean, that is something to get emotional about. And if you really think it happened, and we just pointed out two things, that's not this episode wasn't about the stolen election. And you guys know, if you listen to me, I am not a conspiracy theory person, but I don't think anyone at this point truly believes that there was nothing to see during the 2020 election.
Yeah, it's math. Brent, I saw a documentary, several years after that election called 2,000 Mules. If you haven't seen it, man, it's pretty good. 2,000 Mules, and they've got video evidence in Georgia of people at mailboxes just stuffing large envelopes of voting material into the voting boxes. And they showed cell phone location on these mules. It's pretty good. 2,000 Mules. It's a good one.
Yeah, I saw another video of a guy going up to this house and then another house and another building where over 1,000 registered votes came from that address. Well, you can't have 1,000 voters coming from one house. So, and it wasn't just a one-time thing. So,
yeah,
yes,
there's evidence.
There's evidence, and he saw it early, and he figured it out early, and he was upset about it. Guess what? Half of the American public was upset about it, and rightfully so. Again, what is worse than stealing an American election? It's everything this country stands for.
Yeah.
So yeah, he talked about it. Come to find out, he was right about it, and he was asking the people to fight for fair elections and to press the people of Congress to do the right thing and look into this and not roll over. But let's hear it from him. Let's go to his speech that day.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Oh, the violent
and we're probably
cheer.
not going to be cheering so much for some of them. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
Those are cheers.
We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. Lawfully slated.
He's asking for law.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today
right
we
there.
will.
How did he ask them to go over there?
Pretty sure that was peacefully.
Peacefully and patriotically. So he got impeached for inciting a riot over that speech. Now it was 70 minutes, and yes, you can go listen to the speech for yourself. He rails against what he thought was election fraud. We've already covered that, and he was right. And when he asked the people to go to the Capitol, he told them to cheer on their congressmen, and he told them to peacefully protest. So he didn't call for violence. He actually called for a peaceful protest. That's exactly what he called for. Those were his words. Because no politician would ever call for violence that I can think of.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have
That's
to go
crazy.
and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
That's a state
representative. If you had to be stuck in
representative.
an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. They impeached Donald Trump for what he's just said. And we've had the most amount of, I believe it's fair to say, political violence in this country that we've had, at least in my lifetime. Every time it happens, they should have been impeached for actual violent rhetoric. Donald Trump, during his speech, said, we're going to go over there, we're going to protest peacefully and patriotically. It's just the
hypocrisy.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it wasn't for a double standard, the left would have no standards at all. That is sickening rhetoric from their side. Now, in fairness, I won't just cherry pick his speech. He did talk about fighting. So let's see what he said at the very end of his speech. Here at the Tier 1 Podcast, we're excited to have Tasty Gains as a sponsor, a company with values that aligns with ours. I take their products every day, 3 times a day. And if it wasn't a product that I didn't take personally and believe in, and a company with integrity, then they wouldn't be sponsors on this show. Creatine helps the body produce more ATP, which is an energy molecule that your entire body runs on. It helps improve your physical and mental performance in all aspects of life. Let's be honest, creatine powder sucks to take every day. With the creatine gummies, you can take them with you anywhere and they taste great. Every batch is third-party tested, so you know you're getting exactly what you pay for. Go to tastygains.com and enter the promo code Tier1, that's TIER, the number 1, and get 20% off your order.
I said, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong. Can't have happened. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Our exciting adventures and boldest endeavors have not yet begun. My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country. And I say this, despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come.
So he's going to walk down there and fight for their country. Now, a little bit of violent rhetoric there. If you really want to push that,
right?
I think it's pretty normal talk. I mean, you would never find, and because they're consistent, you would never find a Democrat telling someone to fight the way Donald Trump did, would you?
Use that vision to make sure that we fight harder, we fight tougher, and we fight more passionately than ever. We still have a fight on our hands. Fight hard for the changes Americans are demanding. Get in the fight, to winning the fight, fighting. He's fighting. We'll use every tool possible to fight for this change. We'll fight to fighting hard. Serious about fighting and fight.
Serious about fighting.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected. I guess it does look like normal speech to tell people to fight for what they believe in, which is why he was impeached. He was impeached by Congress, which means nothing, but he was never convicted of any wrongdoing because it was obvious what Donald Trump was railing against, what his concerns were, what he asked them to do, and what he said when he said fight.
And he certainly didn't say anything like punching anybody in the face like some others did, or talk about assassinations.
So the of course, like I said, he wasn't convicted of it because there was none.
Nothing
so
there.
back to his speech. Well, was it Trump's idea to march to the people to the Capitol on a whim? No. And most people don't know this. I actually didn't know this. There was already a planned and approved event by the Capitol Police themselves at the Capitol January 6th. That's why he said we're going to march down the Capitol. He already knew that there was going to be a protest down there. They were going to go down there and join them. So it is estimated that between 2,000 and 2,500 people showed up at the Capitol on January 6th. A fair amount of them were already there while Trump was giving his speech. They overlapped. The protest at the Capitol started before the end of Trump's speech. So many were already there while he was speaking. Trump ends his speech at 1:10 p.m. And then 30 minutes later, the Capitol building was breached. Now, the people that heard his speech were almost 2 miles away when it ended. Marches, they organize slow, they walk slow. There's nothing fast about it. It is reasonable to believe that the people riled at his speech weren't even there when the breach occurred.
Yeah.
So how could it be incited a riot when the people that heard his speech showed up after the breach of the Capitol had already occurred? Now, you could say, well, maybe they watched it on their cell phones. And it's, I watched who knows how many, 15, 20, 30 different interviews, several different documentaries on both sides. And I saw more than one person talk about how bad cell phone reception was that day, which is no news to me. Because you can go to a football event, you go to any major event, you get that many cell phones that just overpower a network, and service is horrible. And they commented several times that they either, half the time they couldn't get a text message out, much less a phone call, much less download or watch or stream a video of the president's speech. So again, it's reasonable to believe that the people who were already there while Trump was speaking never heard what his violent speech was. Well, someone incited it. And without a doubt, it was not completely peaceful. I'm not here to try to sell some ultra right-wing narrative of erasing what happened that day. It was not peaceful, and there's plenty of video to show that. But it could have all been avoided. It didn't have to happen at all. We knew that this election was rigged. We knew people were going to be upset about it. Guess who knew it? Donald Trump himself knew that some people, some good Americans, may be pretty upset about this. And following the days of after January 6th, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats went on this massive campaign demanding answers of why the National Guard wasn't called up, demanding answers of how could this have happened. And again, now that it's 5 years later, we actually have our answers. We know why the National Guard wasn't called up. Let's play that clip, Drew.
I'm in a unique position. Remember, I was Chief of Staff for the Department of Defense on January 6th. We were responsible for the deployment of the National Guard. And what I was forced to testify to years ago at great personal cost has now once again, just like Russiagate, been proven true, because all I do is speak the truth. On January, actually in the days before January 6th, we were in the Oval Office where the President Trump at the time, authorized, pursuant to law, up to 10 to 20,000 National Guard. We took that authorization because the law's second part required a request from who? Nancy Pelosi and the Metropolitan Police. What? And the mayor at the time. And what did they say? No. And remember what happened for the next 2 years? They say, oh, Cash is lying, Trump's lying. And what did we find? Letters of their declination of the National Guard.
Interesting.
Refusing to have the National Guard show up. So all I can speak to is the facts, and the facts are those plus this.
They got their answer.
Nancy Pelosi and her team were busy filming a movie on January 6th while this so-called chaos around her was going down. If she had, just look at it this way, if she had said yes to the National Guard and we had 10,000 uniformed military officers establish a secure perimeter, do you think January 6th would have gone differently?
Nope. It isn't. Well, yes, it would have gone differently. Absolutely. This is one of the many points and one of the many things I think you'll come to realize after this is the same guy who incited an insurrection is also the same exact guy who authorized and requested 10 to 20,000 National Guardsmen be deployed. Who was it that declined it? The mayor, the Capitol Police, Nancy Pelosi, any of them could have got National Guardsmen there. And for them to demand that where's the National Guard on day of, that's not how it works. You have to pre-position them. It takes a while to get 10,000 National Guardsmen out of their home to the armory, changed in gear, briefed about what they're doing, put on trucks, and then sent over there. That should have been done days before. Oh, but wait, it was requested to be done days before. So again, the same guy who incited the insurrection also asked for 10,000 National Guard troops. You can't have it both ways. So clearly he did not want this. So you could almost ask yourself, by denying these 10,000 National Guardsmen, did you want something bad to happen?
Well, Brent, it's been in my personal experience that if you don't want people to know what you've been up to or what went on, get out in front, give your own narrative, accuse other people. Right. And so while they're busy trying to defend themselves, nobody's investigating what you've been up to.
Right. And they are really good about this, and the news is really bad about this. Whoever gets to the story first, they plant that flag, they have the narrative. The retraction story is never the front page. It's always the back page, and no one even knows it happens. But there's something else really interesting that Patel says during this interview that I want to bring up.
We investigated the matter and found out why FBI agents were placed there in the first place. And it turns out we found documentation and witnesses and whistleblowers that said we were forced to go there to do riot control. Armstrong, do you know what the FBI does not do ever? Riot control. We don't do that. So the prior leadership sent 250 some odd men and women into a situation they're not trained for, put them in harm's way, put the individuals out there in harm's way, and also those individuals have collectively responded or said beforehand that they were forced to go there. They didn't volunteer.
And again,
50.
So I looked into this, and again, I want to be completely fair. Someone could easily take these numbers and kind of skew them to their story. So the truth is that at the beginning of the protests at the Capitol, there were already 40 plainclothes FBI either agents or sources that were there. Now that's been confirmed. Right. 40. At some point, they called in an additional 200 for a total of 275. But here's what's really, really fascinating about this. They were all plainclothes FBI agents and sources. That's 1 out of every 10 protesters there were actually plainclothes FBI agents, according to their numbers. I didn't make it up. I can tell you they weren't there to do, and as we already know, it's not for riot control. You don't do riot control in plain clothes. So that's a clear lie. So what do cops do in plain clothes, generally speaking? Drew, you want to take a stab at that? If a cop is in civilian clothes, if they're in plain clothes, generally, why are they in plain clothes and what are they doing?
They're at a football game, watching football, maybe? I don't know. Maybe undercover.
Boom.
Undercover job.
Undercover operations. Yep. To blend in, and usually for undercover operations. I'm not saying 100% that's what they were all doing. But I can tell you, where there's smoke, there's fire.
It's a weird assignment.
It's a weird assignment. It just is. And it's no longer a conspiracy. It's no longer, oh, this random person over here said this and on Reddit. Like these, after 5 years and after an administration change where the last director lied to Congress and said no one was there, and now we find out that's absolutely not true. 5 years later, we get to look back at this and know exactly what happened. And there were over 270 plainclothes FBI agents in the middle of 2,000 protesters.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow.
So also, the chief says, and the chief's own words, that the crowd was full of FBI agents. And I thought that was an interesting thing. So chief knew because the chief said that the crowd was full of FBI agents. After watching video after video, I'm also convinced that this, and I am, that the way the Capitol Police handled it, they have a part in instigating the crowd by firing tear gas into the middle of the crowd, by firing tear gas on the back side of the crowd. When you have a crowd full of 2,000 people that are just packed in, shoulder to shoulder, if you drop in a bunch of tear gas in the middle of a crowd, where is that crowd going to go? It's going to disperse equally and evenly in every single direction because everyone's trying to get away from that tear gas. So why do you think people were clashing with police officers? Because when the whole crowd moves every which way, the crowd that was already sitting there face to face with police officers are now clashing with police officers.
Yeah, I guess if the violence you want isn't happening, you create the conditions for some type of violence.
And that's in the middle for sure. And there's videos of it. Go watch it and we'll show some of it. If you put tear gas to the back of a crowd, the only place that crowd is going is full force into you. They are creating the conditions of chaos.
Who shoots tear gas in the back of a crowd? In what scenario would that ever be useful? I can't think of one.
I'm not here necessarily. I'm not saying like what happened. I'm definitely not saying that the January 6th protesters were all completely innocent and everybody investigated this. Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own actions. But we also can't sit here and look at this and say, well, it was just evil, mean insurrectionists that violently came out here with nothing but bad intentions and they're the devil. Well, that's actually not true either. And I just can't say that. We're going to hear from a use of force expert with over 40 years of law enforcement experience, including security director for the Summer Olympic Games. So when he reviews this footage, let's see what he has to say about it.
Up there, a congregation of officers, I didn't see a supervisor among them, who were using these munitions to inflict harm and injury on people below them. It's egregious. Rubber bullets have the potential to put an eye out. Shooting down into a crowd at the head level, which is the first primary target that would be hit by those rubber bullets, runs the risk of having somebody's eye put out or having them permanently disfigured. Impact front on from ground level is designed to hit somebody in the chest or lower so that it will sting and put them in flight. That is the design and purpose of the tool.
Yeah, when I heard in different videos the protesters talking about getting hit by rubber bullets, and that's why he's the expert, I didn't put two and two together the way he just did, that firing rubber bullets from an elevated position in a crowd of people, the only thing really exposed is people's heads. So now let's add rubber bullets to faces, tear gas in the middle and beyond, just absolutely creating this chaotic scene. But this next video just really shows the attitude of the police officers this day. The most egregious act I saw by a police officer that day is this right here. Let's bring up that video, Drew. To me, it really shows that they're really not looking to de-escalate things. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets. There's tear gas right in the middle of a formation.
These are people who largely support police, law and order, back the blue, so they did not understand why they're being fired upon. These were throughout the crowd, so there was definitely a stirring the pot effect, and eventually it did come to a boil in certain areas.
Watch this guy right here.
The protester was climbing the wall. He had seen somebody put a giant American flag up on the scaffolding for inauguration, and he wanted to put his Trump flag up. He scaled the wall, and when he got up there, he didn't have a chance to put the flag up. A couple officers took swipes at him over the rail.
Just real quick.
And missed him, but then
All right. He's up there. He has a flag in his hand. It's obvious what he has in his hand is he has a flag. Is he an idiot? Yes, he's an idiot. Okay? But, that's the, but what they, it's clear what the police officer should have done. And what that first police officer does, because, kind of grabs him by the back of his jacket. He just has a flag.
Yeah.
So you would think they would grab him by the back of his jacket. They would pull him over the banister, cuff him, and be like, okay, one less protester to deal with.
Yeah.
Although he was armed with a fabric flag, but
his other hand is holding onto the rail so he doesn't fall.
Or up trying to pull his pants up. But let's see what the police officers decide to do. Do they decide to do the right thing, or maybe agitate?
Got into a standing
I don't
position,
believe this was taught in de-escalation
police
training.
officer from Capitol Police.
Are you kidding me?
Came up with a pretty good stride and shoved him, and he fell at least 20 feet and was seriously injured.
Look at that.
That was witnessed by a lot of people. And then when they carried him out, a lot of the crowd saw the after effects of that, and they were very upset.
And my analysis of the police officer pushing somebody.
Pause it. This is where it's from a crowd that is more than likely pro law enforcement.
Right.
You start getting this agitation. Now they're hurting you, and you're watching it. You start to get this us versus them feeling. Doesn't make it right, but I cannot believe that police officer pushed that guy off the stairwell for holding a flag. Again, I just want consistency from people. Had that been a Black Lives Matter protester trying to get up a staircase and he had a BLM flag and he was pushed by a police officer 20 feet to the ground.
I mean, Brent, we've seen cop videos where they are worried about how and when they're going to tase somebody so they don't fall off something and hurt themselves. And cops are worried about how they're going to,
how that'll be perceived.
Yeah, exactly.
How a fall from standing up to down is perceived. And this guy doesn't care about how it's perceived to push someone from 20 feet off. Just pull him off over to your side, handcuff him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fall. He wants to come to your side.
Right. Yeah.
Won't be hard.
So it is clear. This is, again, I'll say it over and over because someone's going to try to twist my intentions. Guess what? I wouldn't have been up there. I wouldn't have been trying to crawl up the outside of a stairwell. No. You play stupid games, you get stupid prices.
Right.
Like that is true. But it is clear that whether they were poorly managed, poorly trained, whether there was no supervisors there are a lot of maybe some logical explanations of why it was being poorly executed for riot control. But there is absolutely a case to be made that the Capitol Police agitated this thing and actually made it worse.
Right. And what we're asking for here is some consistency in our media, consistency in our government, because that scene right there, although we both agree that wasn't the smart move, it wasn't where the guy was supposed to be.
Yeah.
if the shoe was on the other foot and this was a leftist protest, if this was a BLM situation, they would be, raked over the coals for such a move as that. We need consistency. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
That's right. From me and you who have started a company called First Responders Everything, coffee, cigar, cask, we give the benefit of the doubt to law enforcement all the time. Yeah. But we also have to say when it's right and when it's wrong, and we will do that. Now, they're not the only ones. And here's the other thing. I don't think, as we continue to prove this case, so was it just Capitol Police that turned this into a riot? No, I believe there were several factors into this. There were some anomalies of agitators. Drew, let's pull up the next video.
A lot of the defense attorneys are calling suspicious actors.
Pause that real quick, Drew. Look at all these horrible, bloodthirsty protesters that are begging to get into the building. Nope, just one.
One guy.
One
crazy guy.
So it looks like to be 100, 20, 30, up to 100. I can't see who, how far off to the right it is. But I've seen this picture before. I know who all is there. There is a sea of people behind it. There's only one person up there trying to get out a window.
Nobody's pushing behind him.
I've seen riots before, and they're beating each other.
Maybe he's all jacked up on tear gas.
It's insane. But this is what we got, and everyone watched it. And the cops are coming in, and no one is messing with these cops. Just let them do their job, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see how this continues.
Who is this individual we're looking at in this piece of footage?
Well, a radio journalist from Michigan was shooting video that day at the Capitol. What he captured were two most charitably called suspicious actors, but they are dressed in such a way that led him to believe that they were government agents. And one of them, after the windows had been broken by a protester, it was encouraging people to pull the rest of the glass out and go inside. Bobby Powell, who was the journalist that had shot it, and he has his camera rolling, he told him that would be illegal. And that wouldn't be a good idea. He warned people off not to go into that window. And then he turned his camera around and he caught this agent or suspicious actor pulling a large pane of glass out, this tempered glass. It kind of folds into itself, crunch onto the ground. When he realized he was being filmed, he quickly dropped it. It seems apparent on the video that he did not want to be seen doing that.
Did it look like he's making an entryway for people?
We'll make this connection here in a second. Black mask, black hat, black top. He's got a radio on his on his chest. You see that?
Yep.
What do you need a radio for? Coordinating things?
He's just talking to all his friends.
Yeah. Who are you coordinating with? Again, it does seem like it's not outside the realm of possibility to believe that there are these bad actors in here with bad intentions.
But why would you go up to a window on the Capitol building and just pull glass away from the frame?
And then just peel back to the side and be like, oh, look at that.
Almost like we're making a way for a plan.
Exactly. So let's
preempted.
Was that the end of that video? Or was there
no, we got a little bit more.
Yep.
So he pulled in a protester and started blaming him. He said, "What are you doing breaking that window?" The poor fellow that was being
and now he's yelling, "Do not go in there!" When he knows that the camera's on.
Shoves and cocked his arm like he was going to punch him. We don't know. His facial image is not on any of the Sedition Hunters sites or the FBI's most wanted site, but he clearly was committing criminal damage to property, and he has not been charged. So it raises the question of why.
It's not that far of a stretch to think, could he have been one of the almost 300 plainclothes FBI agents that were there who wanted this to happen, who hated Trump? And the FBI did. The FBI director did. Comey, the director before that one, did. That he was there, and then he was caught on video doing something that he shouldn't have done, and then he's all acting really correct so he could show everyone, oh no, I was trying to protect the Capitol. I wasn't trying to agitate things when you clearly were. Whoever you were clearly were. You pulled that window out to make way, to almost entice someone to go in there. Almost like entrapment. I believe there's even a word for this. But that's not it. Could there have been other people there with bad intentions besides some FBI plainclothes agents that were there? Who else were there? Let's go look at this video. If you've ever been to any of my tactical training classes, then you know how adamant I am about the use of white light and the importance of a quality, high-powered tactical light. That's why I use cloud defensive tac lights. You can't hit what you can't see, and neither can the bad guys. Clearly identify your target and simultaneously overwhelm his vision with hundreds and even thousands of lumens. Get serious about defending yourself and your family. Go to clouddefensive.com and use promo code Tier1 to get 30% off your order. That's right, 30%. You won't find a better light than this, and you won't find a better deal than this.
I remember hearing from previous rallies and other news that Antifa, previous rallies even, would infiltrate and say one day they're gonna do something and they'll be dressed as Trump supporters and do something to make us look bad.
Before she ended up at the mouth of the tunnel, there was a window nearby that was being attacked with hammers. I think there was even a crowbar that was used.
All right, go back.
One of the times that an individual stepped
something.
up.
Let's look at this protest. We'll get another maybe a better picture of him here in a second. All black, black helmet, came with a hammer, looks to have a backpack on. And I got to thinking, that's odd because that's not what you normally see at a Trump protest or a Trump rally. Sorry, or anything Trump related.
Hats and flags.
That's right. But who does dress up like that? Have you found anyone else that looks like that, Drew? Oh, these people. These people in all black with, is that a black helmet up there?
Well, that's not just one, but there's one, two, three, four, five, six, and that's just the ones we can see.
Do most of them appear to have backpacks on and backpack straps?
They all have backpacks, and their flags look more like weapons.
And their flags look more like weapons. So here's what is consistent. When BLM protesters show up and things get violent and they clash with police officers, there is violence and there is broken windows. It's almost like they hate windows. I don't know what...
A lot of windows.
I don't know what Antifa and BLM have against windows, but boy, do they hate windows.
Windows, cars.
And they always have something in those backpacks that can break windows. And here we are again, breaking windows. Have you ever seen a Trump rally break a window once before this?
Nope.
Have you ever seen a Trump supporter dressed in all black with a black helmet with a black backpack and face coverings, all black?
It's not normal. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either. Let's keep watching that video because, well, what is more consistent of a Trump supporter? People who don't appreciate this type of behavior.
And one of the times that an individual stepped up and was trying to smack at this window.
Everyone's yelling Antifa, but no one's stopping him. So I just didn't give it a second thought, and I ran toward the man who was breaking out the window. And right before I make it to him, somebody else jumps up and takes me
Look at that. Pause it.
Breaking.
She jumps over there and she stops him from breaking the window. That's what Trump supporters do.
Yeah, there's another man taking him down too.
Keep going.
But as he does that, there's a group of probably 2, at least, men that pull him off of the man that was breaking the window. As soon as I make it
Look at that crowd. Pull that guy in. How many times have you seen the other side at a rally breaking windows and people stop them from breaking windows?
No, that is so suspect.
You haven't seen that? Okay.
That is so suspect.
I'm telling you, there are things that just don't add up.
Wow.
Now, again, this does not absolve all Trump supporters from wrong. Yes, I believe Antifa and FBI agitators were in the crowd. I truly do. I believe some of the actions that the Capitol Police took that day agitated the crowd and escalated instead of de-escalated. Absolutely, I do. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own actions. And how many sheep there were that would allow these people to dictate their actions is just too many. And that's what I'm actually most upset about. That I don't care if there were agitators in there. You fell for it. You fell for it. There's some heinous videos of Trump protesters clashing with police. Things did get violent. When I say violent, a bunch of pushing and shoving. There's also videos of these Trump protesters helping the police. Let's bring up that video.
The counting of the electoral votes by force and violence if necessary, according to prosecutors. But we had an incident on the east side of the Capitol that, in a very dramatic way, counters that narrative and that belief, where they are assisting the police. There was an amateur videographer from Florida who captured an officer of the U.S. Capitol Police came out of the building, out of the Columbus doors, where a crowd was trying to get inside. He was wearing a red Trump MAGA hat. And he came down to the Oath Keepers and sought them out and said he needed help. This is all captured on video, this discussion. When he makes it clear he needs help getting officers out of the Capitol who are fearful for their safety. You can see the Oath Keepers' faces. Just, let's go, let's go. And so they take him and they go back up those stairs in a military stack formation, and they go up to the Capitol.
Look at those violent protesters just ripping that police officer to shreds as he
in a short while they come out with 16
seamlessly
police
actually
officers
through the crowd,
clad in riot gear, and they take them down the steps to join
Look
a
at this.
police line outside.
Look what
so
happens
they went
here.
in and got them and brought them out, and they formed a space in the crowd to take them down the stairs. It's somewhat remarkable because the crowd, one woman was hugging every one of them that came out of the building.
You have people hugging.
No, they're trying to tackle him, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
She's hugging
How do you want to tell
every
the story?
single police officer. Not one of them had a problem.
So many of them are
coming
actually
down.
law enforcement officers, or they served in the military, or they're retired.
Look at that, and look at those insurrection type of hostile
Behavior.
acts.
Yeah.
Just insurrectionists. Escorting police up, hugging them as they come down in riot gear, parting the sea for them so they can easily get to where they're going. Just insurrectionists. Just disgusting.
Man.
How could you?
I never saw any of this stuff on the news, Brent.
I'll tell you, you know what's crazy? It was so hard to find two sides to this story. Every which way I Googled it, the left pounced on this so hard. They put out so much content. Google's only going to scrape, what it is they see, what they see a lot of. It was almost impossible to see any other video than what they wanted you to see. So you can see in the video, not everyone there was bad. In fact, you could easily come to the conclusion that most people in the crowd were good people with good intentions,
giving out hugs.
It's one of those things for both sides. You can find whatever it is you're looking for, but at some point, another strange occurrence happened. It went from a clash with police to sane police welcoming in the protesters into the Capitol. And once they made that breach, yes, they held strong for a while. They didn't want them to come in. But once they breached, you can see the demeanor of the police officers completely change. They're no longer trying to push people out. They're just sitting back and just watching them do whatever it is they want to do. And what was it that they wanted to do? It'd be a 2-hour episode if I wanted to show you all these videos. But there's videos of people just calmly walking through the halls of Congress, staying within the velvet ropes, not even going outside of it. No one toppled down any statues. It was unlike a insurrection that they would like you to believe. But here is one protester that, and I know you've seen this guy. Let's see what his story is.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman. QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy.
What a charge.
For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building.
How did he get past those
police? But according
police?
to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened.
Look at him.
He's outrunning them.
Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances.
It's locked.
And even try to
so we'll
open
calmly
locked
go
doors
to
for
another
him.
door that isn't locked.
We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them
Look at him push through.
even
No
tried
one can
to slow
stop
him
him.
down.
He's a force
Chansley
to be
understood
reckoned
that
with.
Capitol
Everyone's
Police
horns.
were his allies. Video
They're
shows
scared of
him
the
giving
horns.
thanks for them in a
Insurrectionists are
prayer
scary.
on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers.
He's praying for the police officers.
Contrast the
hear
reality
that?
of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Shoot him. Like, if it,
The guy who just
you burst
prayed for the
into
police
United
officers,
States,
shoot him.
If he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him! Shoot him! It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known
He's walking
from
with
the
his two
media
buddies.
coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest?
That's a good question.
Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did.
Wow. Real enlightening, is it? Like it just absolutely goes against the narrative. The narrative, this was an insurrection. These were violent people looking to overthrow a government. You want to look what violent people look like when they protest? Go look at the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis when we covered that on my last podcast. The whole thing was burned down to ashes. The whole thing was looted. That's what violent protest looks like. Not police officers kindly escorting people around, checking locked doors, then going to other doors to see if they can find an unlocked one so that they don't disturb or hurt anything. It's just wild. It just doesn't go with the narrative that the left has been telling you. Now there were it wasn't all like that. There were a few clashes inside. We'll talk about that real quick. The same oath keepers that one police officer with the MAGA hat went in, came outside and grabbed those guys to help escort those police out. There was another police officer that was caught in a stairway, and he was preventing people from going up this stairway, and things were getting heated. Well, the oath keepers found out about this. They moved over to that area. They de-escalated the situation, and they personally escorted that police officer to join his fellow police officers to ensure that he was not hurt. Not everyone was that lucky. Of course, what I will talk about, I believe that I will describe this as the murder of Ashley Babbitt by Michael Byrd. Let's look into that.
The worst thing that happened that day was the execution of Ashley Babbitt at near point blank range by Lieutenant Michael Byrd, who was exonerated in any alleged investigation, and the deaths of 3 other Trump supporters, Benjamin Phillips, Kevin Greason, and Roseanne Boylan,
and we'll talk
who
about
died,
them.
all 3 of them, very likely due to excessive police force that day. That's another
Correct.
thing the January 6th committee and the DOJ are completely burying, so to speak.
U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd, who was off to Ashley's left when she climbed into the window. And he was fairly tight into the wall. Would have been difficult to see that he was there. And he has spoken publicly that he warned her, he yelled at her to stop. You cannot hear that on any of the audio. It would be arguably very difficult because the crowd noise coming from that
Now, pause it
hallway,
real quick. That's all I've ever seen of this video, was just her getting shot. But it wasn't until I did this actual, deep dive in January 6th, where something a little strange before that happens. Let's keep watching this.
And it was very loud. But he had his gun trained on her.
So when you see that, it makes you think that she broke a window, she crawled in, she's the aggressor.
And he's in shooting
That's somewhat we
and then he
maybe
advances
viewed
forward
as
and
violent
lunges,
if you're
and then
breaking
he
a window
fires
and
at
then
her
going into
and
it.
strikes her in the left shoulder. In the speaker's lobby, which is a fairly large space with marble column.
Because there were officers behind her and other
Something
innocent
else
persons
I didn't know, and we'll talk about here in a
striking
second.
her, whereupon she
There were
fell to the
officers
floor,
behind her.
mortally wounded. Lieutenant did not go forward and handcuff Ashley Babbitt and administer first aid. He withdrew.
Yeah.
He's out of the picture. There was an additional officer who withdrew his weapon, again pointing it in a direction that was not a safe backdrop, but did not fire. So there's a discrepancy between the need of the lieutenant to fire when another officer didn't fire with the same circumstances. In order for lethal force to be authorized, the officer must be able to articulate that he or she was in fear of losing his life, was about to be killed or grievously injured. There is nothing I saw in that film that would indicate that that was possible or probable.
But what was the narrative they were told
from what
before
unfolded.
those people showed up?
Right.
Lastly,
in fact,
I am not aware of
pause
any
it real
firearm.
quick. Let's talk about that just for a second.
Because those dudes look scared, like as if they've been told something before those people showed up. What kind of people these people are?
I'm sure they heard radio transmissions of what was going on outside, and clearly they had some time. They put some furniture there, but it doesn't matter what they heard, because now it's what they see. And what he sees, what Michael Byrd sees, is a 5'2", 100-pound girl, unarmed, and we know she's unarmed because she's trying to crawl through a window with both of her hands. You know what? It's funny. Yeah, it seems almost inconsistent now. But what'd the police officer do to the guy up, trying to crawl up a stairwell?
Shoved him back.
Did he just go up there and shoot him?
No.
He just shoved him back. You don't think Michael Byrd? You saw a picture of him. He's a large man. Mm-hmm. She is a 5'2" little girl that is unarmed. I'd have just walked up and just pushed her back. They hadn't breached the doors itself.
Yeah.
Only the panes had been breached. Such a simple solution. Yeah. There is no way he can believe that he is in fear for his life because a 5'2" female is crawling through a window that he knows is unarmed.
Like, I guess devil's advocate of that would be, again, if those Capitol Police were told a certain story or narrative as the mob came up, he wasn't worried about the woman. He might have been worried about the people behind him, what weapons they have and what actions they could take.
Clearly he was worried about the woman because that's who he shot, was the woman.
Yeah.
So that doesn't check out.
Nope.
And it doesn't matter what you've been told. This is what you now see.
Yeah.
Let's continue that video.
Well, the number of them, to begin with, Ashley Babbitt, when she made her way up to the window, she was surrounded by people who fit that definition. In her immediate vicinity surrounding her, there were probably 3 or 4.
3 or 4 suspicious actors and 20 suspicious actors total in that room, in that area.
And one of them, who was an instigator, Zachary Alam, he was the one bashing the window with a black helmet, and he knocked out several windows.
Wait a minute.
Ashley
Wait a minute. Pause
Oh,
it.
did you see it?
So again, who brings black helmets? Who hates windows?
Yeah.
It wasn't Ashley Babbitt. She didn't. This does change my mind a little bit about when I hear the whole story about this. It does change my mind a little bit about it. That a-hole right there was the one making these officers scared, thinking that, hey, this crowd, they're trying to break these windows. They're trying to come in. Let's see what Ashley Babbitt does about this.
Spar with him, she was screaming at him to stop. She stepped forward and she punched him in the face.
Ashley Babbitt tried
Right
to
in the
stop this.
nose.
Are you kidding me?
The goggles came off.
I hate to judge a book by its cover, but just look at that glasses wearing nerd and tell me which side he's from.
Yeah.
Including that black helmet.
Right.
And
the common denominator, the guy with the black helmet on the outside pulling a window open.
That's right.
Outside.
There were agitators. And what's crazy is it's such an easy, of course, they didn't, I'm sure Moore did this. It's the Trump crowd really is the easiest to infiltrate as far as gaining, looking like one of them.
Yeah.
You just put a red hat on. You just put a red hat on and you just wear American flag stuff and you'll never be questioned.
Yeah.
It was the easiest infiltration of all times. Let's continue with that video. And so she didn't like it. She punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens next.
Then you're saying
she did. She got after the police officers who were there. Why aren't you stopping this?
Wow.
And she's been portrayed as a rioter, as a seditionist, but it's very clear in the video and the audio that she was very upset and trying to stop what was happening, because they were bashing in the glass and the doors that lead to the speaker's lobby and right onto the House floor. And then when her husband is totally convinced that when she does the punch to Zachary Alam, she had decided that she needed to escape from that hallway, that it had gotten scary, the conditions.
There's where the police officers are. There's police officers right behind them.
And she was afraid of crowded places. So she decided, I have to get out of here. When she climbed up in the window, there were 2 suspicious actors, one on either side of her. We don't have a clear enough video angle to see if either one of them pushed her up into the window or helped her into the window, but they were in that position on either side of her. And then when she was shot and fell back, again, these same several suspicious actors were right around her when she fell and was laying there. So it raises all sorts of questions. What role did they have? How did they all get there at the same time along with all these other people?
And another suspicious point with all this is one of the individuals who breaks this glass is communicating with another one. We can watch him in the video. And then as the SWAT team is moving up the stairs, this individual goes back down the stairs and looks like he's changing his clothes.
Zachary Alam did that when he saw
And
Ashley
there we go again.
had been
We have
shot.
a
He
helmet.
realized it.
We have a backpack.
You can see on the video.
Now he's changing
he
clothes.
Physically responds. He almost jumps back. And the look of horror, he was genuinely terrified.
I've seen enough. It's an absolute different story than what we've been told. And really, all it took was about 30 seconds of backing it up. All it took was looking at who else was breaking windows and start seeing what the common denominator was. Yep. There were absolutely agitators inside here. And it blows my mind that somehow, some way, they chose not to investigate that shooting. In fact, they gave a 3-paragraph response, the Capitol Police did, into the Michael Byrd shooting, and that was it. I've seen 100-page reports for really what ends up being a misdemeanor by police officers. And this guy shoots and kills someone and gets a 3-paragraph report. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. So they choose not to investigate this guy. So instead, they're like, hey, we need a hero. This guy isn't the hero. We're just going to try to forget about him. We're going to sweep this under the rug. But we need a hero. And who do they find? They find Harry Dunn, a black officer that was in hand-to-hand battle, was consistently berated and called the N-word, and saved the day with his heroism, according to him.
He was fighting back insurrectionists across the Capitol.
I hope that we will get to a point where there will be an exhibit.
Every time I see Harry Dunn, the police officer who saved the Capitol.
You're in hand-to-hand combat with a mob.
Officer Harry Dunn was in the heart of the battle.
Broke down in tears, telling fellow officers he'd been called the N-word.
This book isn't just about your feelings, it's about the truth.
He wept in the rotunda because so many racial slurs were directed at him.
They lied under oath.
They lied under oath.
That's right.
Who lied under oath?
He just doesn't tell the truth.
Y'all saw what happened. Y'all know what happened.
Fighting on January 6th, that was hard.
And it's on video.
Guess who did finally arrive?
He was not the man of action that he claimed.
Sounds like Jussie Smollett. There's one person that's not there.
He writes an entire book and gets paid God knows how much to write it, and it's full of lies.
This is about what's fucking right and what's fucking wrong.
I love this. Just fighting for his life. At one point, he was
That's
on
why
the
we need
couch.
people like myself
with his arms spread
to
out,
be out there and be truth
airing out
tellers.
those bits.
And then you got people that had the nerve to say that I'm lying, exaggerating.
Officer Harry Dunn is an American hero.
There it is again. Look at that hero.
I'll tell you what really happened. My truth. The odds are stacked against me.
I don't conflate my story. These things called Harryisms.
I tell you what, the left aren't very good at choosing a hero, are they? We go down the list of the heroes that they've tried to make statues about and been on the wrong side every time.
George Floyd.
But even though Harry Dunn is a joke, January 6th had very real consequences. We've been told about the deaths already that day. And although Ashley Babbitt should be the focus of that because it was an absolute unjustified shooting, let's look at the others. Other protesters lost their life, and you probably didn't know that. So there was a lady in the video who ran over these names real quick, and I at least want to bring them up and out of complete transparency and openness about who lost their lives that day. Drew, did you know what other protesters lost? Did you even know other protesters lost their life that day? Did you know?
Nope.
All right. Most people may not have. I didn't know this.
I just know about the girl.
Kevin Greason was 55 years old. He died of natural causes from cardiovascular disease. He had high blood pressure and suffered a heart attack outside the Capitol. He basically, they believe between the tear gas and all the excitement, it just became too much for him, and he died of a heart attack. It is what it is. I don't not be flippant about someone dying.
No,
but I forget the exact number, but every year so many people die at the Super Bowl or so many people die at NASCAR events. Like you get so many people together, an exciting thing, and it happens. But unfortunately, Kevin Greason did die, 55, natural causes. Benjamin Phillips, 50, also died of a stroke. Same thing, just overexcitement. Here's the crazy one. Roseanne Boyland, she was mentioned as well in that she was 34, and they did her wrong, just did her dirty. They said that she died on a drug overdose of amphetamines, and that's absolutely not true. There's videos of her in the tunnel. She gets caught in this tunnel, and she gets trampled on. She gets trampled to death, and when they did her autopsy, she took ADD medicine, and she was well within the normal amounts, the same amount she's always taken for years. But because she had those amphetamines in her system, they called it a drug overdose.
Oh, so they need druggies for Trump
that's
followers.
Right. That's right. They need druggies. That again, there's so many different rabbit holes we could have gone down, but that's a wild one right there because she was trampled. The police knew she was trampled, and it was other Trump supporters that went to protect her and to stop the police. Be like, hey, let us get her out of here. And the guy who basically just stopped the clash and basically asked the police, hey, let us get her out of here to recover her so we can try to get her help. He gets arrested and sent to prison, which is crazy. The only thing he did was try to save a girl who had died. So just some real sickening things in that aspect. When you really look at both sides, what certain people did, what they were actually charged with, it's just insane. Now, let's look to the other side. And did you know police officers died that day?
I think I heard one.
All right. Well, Nancy Pelosi is about to tell us about 4 officers that died that day. So I guess you don't follow Nancy close enough. Let's see what Nancy says.
I try not to follow Nancy close. Here we go.
Today, 1 year ago, the Capitol and those who work within it were targeted in a violent insurrection that sought to undermine democracy. As we acknowledge the horror of that day, we honor the heroism of so many, particularly U.S. Capitol Police, institutional staff, floor leadership, committee, and member staff. We had a session this morning where we could say thank you to many of them. Unfortunately, COVID did not enable us to have the full House. We will have another
and January
time
6th in one
when
speech.
The attending physician
Yep,
allows. But as we acknowledge the horror
all the
of that
narratives
day,
Yeah.
in the face of extreme danger, they all risked
Extreme danger.
their safety for our democracy by protecting the Capitol complex, members, staff, press, etc., press within, safeguarding the ballots in those mahogany boxes.
Pause it there for a second. This is, it's kind of crazy. It's taking me this long to get to it. And she has the audacity to bring this up. Do you know what she's talking about with safeguarding the ballots in the mahogany box?
Yes.
There hasn't been a proven that I have found. In order for it to be an insurrection, you would have had to have, and to be taken seriously, proven, or at least us see one person that anyone they've interviewed, and in that police interview, they go, hey, what were you doing there? Have not one supporter, let me know if you've seen one, that said, we were there for the ballots. We were gonna stop the presidency. We knew the ballots were there in a mahogany box, and we were trying to break down the doors because we were going to stop the election.
And how many ballots are going to be in a mahogany box?
It never happened. Not one person was there to overturn an election or thought they could overturn. You think just because they got a hold of the mahogany box, the rest of the government was going to go, well, they took the box. We don't know who's president now. I mean, it's absolute, and no one. She says these things, and no one even dares quit. Shame on our media.
Well, she also said that she's praising them for protecting the other law enforcement officers there, but
just shame.
Who have we seen get hurt? We've seen law enforcement officer push a guy from 20 feet from the building, and we saw another unarmed girl get shot. So I don't know.
Yeah, who needs protecting right now?
Who were they protecting?
Yeah, who needs protecting right now?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else she has to say.
Do we have to?
No.
The election and ensuring that
Let's
Congress
move on a
could
little bit till she
accomplish
gets.
our
Let's go to her
purpose
prayer,
in our honor,
which is
them.
crazy that
Congress
Nancy
was
Pelosi
able-
even pretends to pray.
When the violent assault was made on the Capitol, its purpose was to thwart Congress's constitutional duty to validate the electoral count and to ensure the peaceful transfer of power.
Said no
But the
protest
assault
forever.
did not
just
deter us
wanted to
from
show
our
that they were
duty, I say
upset
again.
with
Right.
the
In
decision.
this Capitol,
Nobody's
a
trying to steal
symbol
nothing.
of democracy to the world, that evening, The Congress, because of the courage of all of you, rose to honor our oath and protect our democracy. Let us acknowledge today, as I conclude, I want to acknowledge our fallen heroes of that day. U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick.
All right. Brian Sicknick, U.S. Capitol Police Officer, he collapsed after the attack and died the next day on January 7th. The medical examiner ruled that he died of natural causes. He also had he had two strokes. I don't know what's going on with out-of-shape people here at this riot, but so far, 3 have died of what you will call natural causes. Now, absolutely, it could be argued that the stress of the day is what made the natural causes happen today when it wouldn't have normally happened.
Right.
But
it wasn't violence that did it.
She makes it sound like it was.
Yeah.
Like it was like
an attack on the Capitol.
Right. Like they died in a blaze of glory, defending the Capitol with their last breath. And let's see who else she mentions.
U.S. Capitol Police Officer Howard Livingood.
Officer Howard Livingood of the U.S. Capitol Police died of suicide 4 days after the attack. He took his own life. He did not. Again, it could be argued, but I just want to make sure that that everyone understands when they hear this, like what it is that.
But if it's the narrative they want,
Right.
they're going to connect it that he killed himself because this happened. Yes, but it wasn't because of the violence of the mob.
That's correct. Yeah. Let's see who else she names.
Metropolitan Officer Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith of the Metropolitan Police Department died by suicide 9 days after the attack. So not at the hands of protesters. And I hate to be insensitive about it. I do, but the protesters made you take your own life. There was no violence. There was no, I shouldn't say no violence. The amount of violence was so small.
Yeah.
And here's another thing they'll say, which just isn't true. They'll say, well, they brought weapons. No, when you say,
well, some dudes in black helmets did.
When it's insinuated you brought weapons, it makes you think like guns were there, bats were there. Now, the police and the protesters 100% got into it. And like they would take, I don't know where they got a ladder from, but they started pushing like ladders trying to get into the tunnel at one point. They would take the poles of the flags, and try to create separation. But it just, you would think that this was the equivalent of Normandy if you let the left really take the narrative and spin it the way they wanted to.
But Brent, we're not conspiracy theorists, but 2 law enforcement officers committing suicide a week after this, I don't know what to call it. I mean, a guilty conscience.
Yes, right.
I don't want to speak out of turn about those. I'm questioning. I'm not accusing. I'm questioning out loud. That's just the odds of that is just weird.
It is. Let's see who else she mentions.
U.S. Capitol Police Officer Billy Evans of a later assault.
She mentions Billy Evans. Now it is odd. Brian Sicknick, who died on January 7th, but at least somewhat connected to January 6th. Howard Livingood, 4 days after the attack, he committed suicide. Jeffrey Smith, 9 days after the attack, committed suicide. And this guy that she mentions, Billy Evans. Let's see who Billy Evans is.
For the second time in less than 3 months, a U.S. Capitol Police officer has died in the line of duty. Officer William Evans had been with the department
3
for
months
18
later?
years. Investigators say he and another officer were hit by a car, the driver ramming into them and then a barricade at a security checkpoint outside the Capitol. The Capitol Police acting chief says the suspect, identified as 25-year-old Noah Green of Indiana, then jumped out of the car with a knife.
The suspect did start lunging toward U.S. Capitol Police officers, at which time U.S. Capitol Police officers fired upon the suspect.
That suspect pronounced dead at the hospital. Investigators say he was not known to the Capitol Police. They're searching for a motive.
This is crazy. Nancy Pelosi, how dare you? She's inflating police officer casualty to make January 6th seem like it was more violent than it was.
Yeah, she connected it and said it was a later assault.
It had nothing to do with January 6th. In fact, it could be argued none of those things had to do with January 6th. The Brian Sicknick one, you could. But the others just aren't there, and this is so dishonest of her. Billy Evans was killed by a car ramming his position at the Capitol. He was killed by Noah Green. Noah Green was a black nationalist with links to the Nation of Islam. At the end of that video, we're still trying to figure out his motive. Have you ever heard the Nation of or the Nation of Islam or the Religion of Islam? I think I cracked the code for you. I think I just broke the case wide open.
Way to go, Sherlock.
Has nothing to do with January 6th. Nancy Pelosi, I almost want to say a new low, but there's no depth that they will not tunnel to look good or control a narrative. So however you feel about January 6th, I hate to say it, but you're right. Did you think it was shameful? It was. Did you think it was justified for Americans to finally protest a stolen election and corrupt system? It was. But it was an insurrection, a term used by the left to stir up more hate and divide. Not one person was there to overturn an election. No one was armed. Hard to take over a country unarmed while waving that very country's flag. Like COVID, it was used as a political tool to grab power and further demonize their opponents with half-truth and lies. I am in no way condoning the acts of January 6, 2021, but we also can't accept the narrative that has been relentlessly put out. Just be accepted as what happened. In all, 1,500 arrests were made, an astounding number, and yes, some did deserve it, but most did not. They were just there peacefully walking around, as video and eyewitnesses prove. In 2024, Trump pardoned all January 6 participants on his first day in office, ending a nightmare for most who were unjustly accused in a political witch hunt. And that's January 6th.
Well done.
Our darkest day, according to Nancy Pelosi.
Wow.
It could go so much deeper than that as far as what some people were charged with, how long they were held. But this is, and I told you at the end of it, I would give you my honest opinion of it. And doing this really did change it. It really did. This is what I truly believe happened January 6th. I believe the police, I don't believe they intentionally, yet they did agitate the situation, which it was a perfect storm. And I don't think the police talked to the FBI, who talked to Antifa, who was this one perfect coordinated attack. It's just too complicated for that to happen.
Right.
Sometimes you just get lucky. Sometimes you have incompetent police that are there doing the wrong thing at the right time. That just happens to have FBI undercover plainclothes agents that also really want this to happen. At the same time, and Antifa was there, Antifa. And I don't think Antifa and the FBI were colluding with each other, but at some point
Whoever calls the shots for those two groups.
I think those two groups kind of start looking. Not one knew who the other one was.
Right. Nope.
It's not, but they knew. I tell you this, I believe they knew that. I think you're instigating like I am, and so they didn't prohibit anyone. They started. They got
the same boss. Whoever that boss is.
You gonna go Soros on this? Like, you going deep state? Like, their boss being like, they just. Well, I
think the same politicians that don't allow the National Guard there are the same politicians that are going to tell the FBI this is what we want, and then they're going to make their call to whoever talks to Antifa and say, "Hey, get your boys to go here and do this."
It's a possibility.
That's my theory.
It's a possibility. I can't rule it out. I think sometimes,
and I can't prove it.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just get lucky, and then you stir it in with a group of proud Americans who believe an election was unjustly stolen from them, and you have the perfect storm for January 6th. Now, I will say this: as much as I just consistently said, it's all their fault. You play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I will tell you this, and I believe this. Had it been any other faction outside of MAGA, things would have turned out so much worse. So much worse. If you would have done this same type of experiment with take the three big players and the rioting space, if you will. Make the same thing happen with Antifa. Make the same thing happen with BLM. You get them riled up over something that they're really ultra emotional about.
Yeah, no kings.
And then you
Palestine.
put agitators in the mix with it, and then you put police being also agitators, and you are going to see absolute devastation. But we didn't really see that.
Nope.
So there's something to be said about that, because they're not the same, because they weren't seditionists.
Yeah.
They weren't what they've been labeled at and charged as, and I do believe that is wrong. And that's my thoughts on January 6th. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please like and subscribe. It does help the channel. We'll see you guys next week.